As the mechanic finished installing the DSS, the detailed surface scanner, in the Tiny and Mighty, she paused, rubbing her grease-covered hands on a cloth she attached to her belts. I'd been trying to stay out of her way as she hooked up the delicate equipment. She started closing up the panel, and out of the blue, she said, "I heard that you helped Bub out." My eyes widened. She couldn't know about that. It was supposed to be anonymous? I tapped frantically at my transaction log, confused even more when the text on the credit transfer read, "Anonymous transfer complete." A dock worker named Bub had given me a great trade tip, and in return, I had given him a share of the profits. Only he wasn't supposed to know it had come from me. She continued with her work. Generosity like that is not common. She started packing up her tools. Not many are willing to part with a credit, much less 10,000. I bent down to help hand her the tools that had magnetically attached to the floor of the hangar. Well, where I'm from, sharing in the wealth is the best way to celebrate a job well done. Underneath the smell of hydraulic grease, I caught another scent. Cinnamon or chocolate. Tapping on her hollow pad, she seemed to be checking everything was working. "What are you going to be using this for?" She glanced up at me, a smudge of grease on her cheek. "I've heard cartographic data is the way to make money. I hope I'm right. I spent all of my money on this device." I was already feeling buyer's remorse. I had spent more money on this ship in the past week than my whole neighborhood would in a lifetime. "Let me give you a tip," she said, touching my shoulder. I got lost in her warm brown eyes. "There's a tool on Galnet called Spanch. It'll help you locate nearby systems people want mapped." As I was pulling it up, I became aware she was still standing close to me. "If you're ever back in the port, look me up. A friend of Bub's is a friend of mine." My heart skipped a beat. Uh, thanks?" She strode away, somehow making a jumpsuit look sexy. Just before I lost her, she turned around and winked. I got a ping with her contact info. Rosalita. And a headshot of her long burgundy hair with streaks of metallic red framing her face. What the heck? I thought, climbing into my ship. This was the second person in only a week to give me their personal contact information. Although, I thought as I rotated Bandit's holorows on my dashboard, I am not here to have fun. I am here to make a difference. I found the site Rosalita had recommended. I entered my location and then had to decide how far I'd travel. 25 light years, I typed in. No locations found. 50 light years? One location found, 6 jumps away. My hands tightened on the controls. Could I risk it? Strapping in and spooling up the engines, I typed, "I'm gonna head out to start scanning," to my remaining wingmates. "You'll need protection. I'm coming along," Keegan said in the public channel. Then he messaged me directly. "Let's do a trade. You teach me to scan. I'll teach you to protect yourself." "Deal," I typed back on the private channel. A minute later, on the wing channel, Night Raider replied, "Received." Both commanders tailed me in Super Cruise as I learned the ropes. It was actually pretty dangerous. I was helpless as I was in the frequency scanner. No awareness of ships approaching my location. I was so lucky to have them watching my 6. Stopping at every system, I took the time to scan all frequencies, weeding out planets from other signals. Some had T-Tauri stars with lifeless moons of rock. Others, colorful orbs of gas with icy moons and rings. Then we made it to the destination system, and I was shocked. As I scanned the system, there was not only one, but 2 Earth-like worlds. Atmospheric metallics and moons. Flying out to the first of the green-blue gems, I whispered. I've never seen an Earth like before. I sent the probes arcing towards the atmosphere, drinking in the beauty and the color. That had me hooked right then and there. There's something about not knowing what you're going to find in a system. Exploring feels like my destiny. I have never been so excited for work before. My wingmates watched, sharing in the finds and the data I was collecting, protecting me and giving me the time to record observations in my log about each planet. We circled back to Chip, just in time before the cartographic offices closed. I turned in my data to get paid, and my jaw hit the floor when I saw the amount was 500,000 credits. I didn't know exploration can make me so much money, I said, elated beyond belief. The tech looked at me funny. You're excited for that? You have 1 million plus system, but it's too close for us to buy it. Wait, what? I scrolled through the grayed out systems. He was right. There was a system for over 1 million credits. How far do I have to go away to collect this? Oh, not far. A few jumps will do it. The attendant brought up a chart. We have a fleet carrier headed to 78 Ursa Majoris and returning back to the system if you want to catch a ride. A fleet carrier? I asked, still partially in shock. Yes, they can jump up to 500 light years. It's a great way to get around. He looked up, noticing how overwhelmed I looked. Just check their flight plans. You don't want to end up in Beagle Point, would you? Of course, I mumbled, quickly plotting a route to catch the friend zone before it left. Of course, I mumbled, already walking away, plotting a route to catch the fleet carrier, named the friend zone, before it left. We don't have time for me to tell you about the fleet carrier, but it was exhilarating. Traveling inside such a giant ship, jumping to distant systems. Well, I just rushed off and sold the data and got back on board, worried that I would be stranded. I made it back, floating on a euphoria I had never felt. I have 1.8 million credits to my name right now. And yes, I did take Rosalita up on her offer. We went and got a drink. It was strange at first. Rosalita was in her element. Everyone in the place knew her. Keegan was there as well, silent, watching everyone with a calculated eye as if he was waiting for things to go sideways. Just then, Night Ranger strode in, looking out of place in his flight suit, still helmet on. He pulled up a chair at our table. Keegan typed, "Greetings, Commander." And Night Ranger just turned to look at him. I felt the crackle of tension. Oh, I forgot you two haven't met. Night Ranger, this is Keegan. My overly chipper tone got me a sideways glance from Rosalita, who was leaning over talking to a group in another booth. Night Ranger's synthetic voice replied, I know Keegan Starbucks, the Pilots Federation lapdog. Keegan went still, his face impassive, but I saw his hand resting on his gun. Stand down. I touched Keegan lightly on the arm. What's your story, Night Ranger? I passed a drink his way. He waited a beat, then reached up and twisted his helmet. I felt more than heard Keegan gasp. Night Ranger had light blue eyes, almost white, hollow cheeks, and a thin line for a mouth. Keegan looked like he had seen a ghost. Night Ranger picked up the brew I'd passed him. I am a former senator who got on the wrong side of the Pilots Federation. I leaned forward. So, you two know each other? You could say that. The two men continued to watch each other. I'll be around if you need a hand again. He got up and put his helmet back on. Leaving the bar, the crowd naturally parted as he left. Keegan didn't relax the rest of the night, watching the door as if he expected the commander to walk back in. Rosalita looked from Keegan to me. Join me. She extended a hand, pulling me to my feet. A Latin beat was mixed with a synthetic percussion. She pulled me into a group of people pressed together dancing. It was intoxicating. She had on a beautiful dress, showing off her strong and scarred arms. Her nails perfectly painted with a glowing holographic paint. She looked so different than she did on the docks. I felt myself sway with the beat for the first time since I left home, forgetting to worry. Grinning from ear to ear at everyone on the dance floor, it felt like a spreading light. People were smiling and laughing and dancing all around me. Keegan watched as Maeve lit up the room. He couldn't put a finger on it, but there was something about the naive pilot. His ghosts had come back to haunt him tonight. He knew she couldn't stay innocent for long. But he had the urge to protect this spark of light in the darkness of space.